Hi guys, I'm Richard Beck, and this is Beck's Armory, my small business that I've been working really hard on the last 4 years to grow as best that I can. Now, in my small business, I use a lot of steel because I do fabrication, and it's always been kind of sketchy. I stack it vertically because I don't have a lot of space, and I want to be space conscious. So I stack it vertically, and there's been a couple times when stuff's fallen over, and I can't risk that anymore. Sometimes my kids come out to the shop, and I gotta make sure that they're in a safe environment. So I decided to build a steel rack, right? This allows you to hold steel against the wall vertically and safely. So I've got an entire video prepared for you guys where I'm going to show you every single step of this process, exactly how I designed it, how I fabricated it. All right, let's get into the video.
So I'm using Autodesk Inventor here, and I start with a simple sketch, and this is just a square, and I round the corners. Now I offset the outside, except it went to 0, and I want a radius on the inside just because in real life there is one. So I redid that part. Now I only do this one time, and from the rest, for all the rest of these, I simply save as on the bar I just finished, and I say like tube 2, tube 3, tube 4. So I don't have to continue to draw a fresh tube every single time. All I'm gonna do is bring in that tube that I just did a save as, and in that case then I'm going to change its length, maybe change the end, maybe it won't be a miter cut, maybe it'll just be plain end. So that's what I'm doing here, and this really saves a lot of time. If you do any 3D modeling, you should consider this strategy. So basically, I just draw all the bars, constrain them together. Then I decided I want a 45 here. I didn't want a 90-degree on the assembly, so I have to change each individual to 22.5. So that gives me the desired effect. This is designed from 1-inch square tubing. The tubing has 1/8-inch wall, so it's really easy to weld, and you don't even need, a big welder. A very just a typical 120 volt welder will do just fine with it. One nice thing about Inventor is if I highlight those tubes that were already constrained together, when I copy and paste, it will paste all of those tubes and it will keep the constraints, so I don't have to constrain them again an additional time. So if you know you're going to use a set of parts, make sure you copy and paste them all at the same time, and then you don't lose your constraints. That's another thing that's going to save you some time. So here, instead of doing a bunch of math to figure out how long the tube needs to be, I just constrained it, and then after it's constrained, I extruded it to that bottom face. It's definitely a lot easier than trying to calculate everything. That's the wonderful thing about modern 3D software. It really makes it easy. So once I get an assembly, I'm not going to continue to bring bars in and constrain them over and over and over. I'm just going to create a pattern. So that's basically one section, and then I realized, well, to create a pattern I need to delete this inside bar. So I go ahead and once I got it to about where I want, I delete that, highlight everything else, and then I do a pattern. So now I do a pattern for this because I want a crossbar in the middle, and there you go. The design's done. Now I haven't done a set of prints for the website, but I might release those in the future. But for now, I just went and clicked on every bar and measured each one, and that's how I got the dimensions. Alright, this is my Evolution chop saw. This thing has really come in handy. I use it constantly on every project I do. I really do want to upgrade the stop that I have. That's a manual, just a piece of steel that I clamp in place. I'm an affiliate for Everlast, so I'll have a coupon code here if you want to save some money on the saw. Check the link in the description. I think you get a percentage off if you use my link. So then I head over to the I head on over to the BA shredder. This is also available on the BECK'S Armory website. Every time I cut any steel, I usually bring it over here to deburr it. If you don't have a 2x72, you can use an angle grinder. You can use a file. You can do it by hand. You don't have to have a 2x72. It just comes in very handy. Here's a fixture table I designed and built, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. Build plans are on the website. This thing really allows me to repeat this process over and over with consistency, and it's really quick this way. So otherwise, if I had to measure these and clamp them, but the nice thing is you just put the little stops in, you push things up against the stops, you clamp it down, and I always like to tack everything first. So that's important because if you fully weld something, it's going to twist and it's going to pull, and then when you try to weld the other end of that pipe or the tube, it's not going to be in the right position. So clamp everything down, and when you tack things up, always alternate, right? Don't tack like a zipper. Tack like you would to tighten lug nuts on a tire, right? Just alternate, opposite, opposite, opposite. And that's going to help reduce distortions in your welds. Also, MIG welding, get yourself some good anti-spatter spray. Notice I even sprayed the tubes that were sitting behind this, right? Because lots of times you'll have other pieces sitting on the welding table and you'll get weld spatter on those, and then you try to weld it together and you've got those little berries or BBs holding things out of position. So I didn't just spray the things I was welding, I sprayed the tubes sitting behind it. Now, if you have endless space, go ahead and take those tubes and get them off your welding table. That would work as well. So in the video, I only show this first process, and then there's 5 of these. They're all exactly the same, and I didn't want to, waste a massive amount of video time just doing the same thing over and over and over. So I did speed it up, get some time lapse going here just to save everybody some time. So I flip it over, and I'm welding the backside. And for the most part, I'm welding most of the joints. There are some additional joints that I weld after it's all put together. If you want, you can fully weld everything all the way around, but keep in mind where you're going to put your next bar, because if you have to grind a bunch of welds away, so that way your next bar, when you're putting all of these sections together, if that weld's in the way, it's going to waste a lot of time. So just keep in mind, hey, I'm going to be putting another tube in this spot, so don't weld there. So overall, yeah, this is the process. I had forgotten to put on anti-spatter spray, so I went ahead and added that. Alright, so here you can see I'm much farther along in the process, but what you're going to see here is what I did on all the other things. So I basically prop it up, get a couple of tacks on these bottom ones, and then you can see how it kind of pulled away, and you got to give it a little bit of a flex. Sorry, my shoulder's blocking the view a little bit, but just tack it in place. Now that it's tacked, I fully weld there and then there. Now the reason I went to the other end of that tube is so that way the heat doesn't build up too much in one spot. So like I said, always alternate, alternate, alternate. So this is it. I decided not to put that other crossbar down there at the bottom like you saw in the 3D model. I don't know, just don't feel like it's needed. If you want to do that, you can do that to make sure, your piece doesn't kick out. So yeah, there it is.
So here it is all finished up. And what I did is I drilled a hole through here and I just put a chain on. Now this side I got a lock nut and washers, and it's like super tight, torqued down. The other side I just put one in finger tight, so that way I can release the chain and get access to the steel. One other idea I had was to actually raise it about, 12 inches off the floor before I bolt it to the wall, which you could totally do, and that would give you more engagement around the bottom. I didn't go as high as I originally planned. Originally, I had planned to maybe have this, be about head high. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized, this steel can't really fall out of there. So there's no point in me wasting a bunch of steel And a lot of times I get a bunch of short stuff, you know, like this. So I wanted to have this cross brace down here, so that way short pieces can also fit in here. Now, sure, a short piece could fall, but that's a lot less risk if this little piece falls on your toe versus one of those falling on your head. So, yeah. I don't know if I'll paint it. I'll probably just clear coat it. That'll save me some time, but. So I hope this video inspired you to maybe build something in your shop, maybe even build a rack like this. I don't have build plans for this on the website, but I do have build plans for that welding table you saw me use. Anyways, guys, thanks a lot for watching. If you've been inspired to build something in your shop, if you've got any value out of this video, give me a thumbs up. That really helps me with the algorithm and helps YouTube get this video out to other people. Also, if you have any questions, put those in the comments below. I always read all the questions and I always answer all of the questions. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.